Well, finally tonight, like a lot of Western New York, we are reflecting on the fact that things we do were so different a week ago than they are tonight. We were on the air covering a storm that prompted a lot of us to say we have never seen anything or covered anything like this before. And two on your sides, Nate Benson and Rob Hackford, were instrumental in our reporting of the storm. Nate and Rob listened to their intuition to take some extra equipment home Thursday, and they ended up setting up what they affectionately referred to as the Kenmore Bureau because they just couldn't make it into the station like many of us couldn't. So Nate's joining me now.
Hi, Kath.
How you doing, friend? Look at you. You look a little bit different in here indoors than you do out there.
I'm warmer.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yes.
I can feel my eyebrows finally. My eyelids are no longer frozen shut. So we're doing great.
I feel like that seems like a victory.
It's a real joy to be here with you on the town hall. You know, obviously this was a storm that for the history books, really. You couldn't travel to cover this storm like I did back in this November 2022 storm. I was in the storm tracker then and going from here to there everywhere to share those conditions. This was so much different because early on we realized we just can't get anywhere in this storm, so we had to be mobile. And by 11 a.m. Friday, I was walking around my neighborhood where I live in North Buffalo and Kenmore because that was the only way we could capture video for this storm. And even then, it was one of those situations, being out for 10 or 15 minutes, it became challenging because those conditions really just beat you up. It really just knocked the wind out of you, and you know, trying to do my typical photographer thing became a real challenge.
Yeah, we certainly know this was a deadly storm.
Yeah.
You know, people lost loved ones, people lost their lives, and it's a serious situation. People may be like, okay, who cares what you guys had to go through? But the truth is, a lot of people have asked, how did you do this? You know, where were you and how did you put all this together? And I mean, certainly we have to also mention, you know, Heather Lee, who, you know that after, you know, day 3, when the only person you're seeing anchoring is Heather Lee, you understand the kind of situation it is and the work that's going into it.
Right. I mean, we had crews. We couldn't get people here. We had people left over from the day before. You know, Rob and I were in Kenmore. So I mean, there was this group of us who just, okay, this is kind of the group that's going to help early on in the storm. And then of course, as conditions lightened up, you know, we were able to get all of our staff in. But you know, it was one of those situations. We were in the front of my house from the porch, 10 feet away from the front door. It was nice and warm. The staff here was reporting from the rooftop from the front of this building. So you know, we were not out in the thick of it, roaming around like we were in other storms. You know, so a few people on social media like, why are you out there? Well, you know, we're a visual media. We have to show you what we're doing, how we're doing it, and you know, we were no more than 10 feet away, really, from my front door, and you could barely see the trees behind me. I mean, that's how bad the storm was. So it really looks like I could be anywhere Western New York just because the snow was so bad. That was one of the 6 p.m. hits there on Friday night, and you know, just one of those situations where you don't expect to do it, but you adapt and figure it out and do the best you can to tell the story that everyone's experiencing.
Yeah, and on that note, I feel like in the last several years we've adapted a lot, particularly with COVID, where we were trying to figure out how do you do this job and how do you help people out and give them the information that they need under circumstances that, you know, seem impossible. What are some of the things from this that you take away now and say, I'm going to have that in my back pocket for years to come?
Move south. I mean, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love Western New York. I'm here, tried and true. Yeah, honestly, it's be prepared, right? I mean, you hear emergency managers and government officials say that all the time, but you know, having that photographer's intuition, I was like, I feel like this forecast, I'm going to bring some gear home, right? And trusting your gut, and you know, it's really hard to digest it because we're just coming out of it. You know, the real thing for me is reflecting back on the toll this storm took. I mean, there's 40 people who are no longer with us, and that really has lingered with me now that we're kind of out of that immediate storm mode and hearing the stories of their tragedy, but also the heroism you're hearing in this community of people saving other lives. And we're probably never going to really know the true scope of everything that happened just because this storm was so intense and vast, and you know, we were all limited in what we could do. So it was, you know, a situation we're all going to carry with us for another generation, right?
Well, on behalf of everybody who had an opportunity to watch you and know what was going on, thank you for everything that you did, because we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, and really the whole team here. I mean, everyone stepped up and did a great job.
All right, thank you, Nate Benson.
Cheers.
Always good to see you. Us on the town hall. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Not me.
We thank you for joining us here at 5:30.